Greetings everyone, welcome back to my 20-year film festival series. Continuing on with movies from 2013, the first movie I'd like to talk about is the Best Picture nominee Zero Dark 30, which is directed by Kathryn Bigelow. And I find this movie to be better than The Hurt Locker, mostly because The Hurt Locker had this little sort of basic problem with the bombs and the fact that there's no real suspense about them blowing up the main character because he's the main character, and if they did, the movie would be over right away. Zero Dark 30 is a very different story. It's not fictional. I don't think that Hurt Locker is fictional. It might be based on a book. I have to check on that. Anyway, Zero Dark 30 is about the CIA analyst who led the hunt for Osama bin Laden. The character is played by Jessica Chastain, and there's a really strong cast in this movie. But she's, of course, the most prominent character, and she is, gets obsessive over the years about losing her colleagues and continuing to be frustrated by the fact that he just seems to be out of reach. But finally, of course, they do get the intel that they need to hunt him down at this compound where the SEAL Team 6 finds him. So it's a bit of a docudrama, sort of a record of exactly how things happen. Of course, names have been changed for security purposes and what have you, and as I understand, Jessica Chastain, one of the reasons why she was cast is because she looks absolutely nothing like the woman that she's playing. But yeah, really, really good movie, very strong picture. Kathryn Bigelow has really come quite a way from making Point Break and Strange Days. I really, didn't think that much of her until she started making movies like this, which was really exciting. Not that I thought she was a bad director, just I didn't think the movies were all that great. Anyway, next let's move on to a drama called The Spectacular Now with James Ponsoldt. James Ponsoldt just did a movie that came out a few months ago called The End of the Tour with Jesse Eisenberg and Jason Segel, which I haven't seen yet. The Spectacular Now, the main character is Miles Teller. He's a high school student. He's a bit of an alcoholic because he's always drinking all the time and doesn't seem to care about it. He meets a sort of studious student played by Shailene Woodley, one of the first movies I saw her in. And they begin a relationship. And there's a bit of a danger of him like dragging her down and making her more like him, in the sense that he's a bit irresponsible and isn't really thinking about his future, and drinks way too much. Yeah, it has some tragic elements to it, but it's also just really good drama in and of itself. Yeah, and it does have its funny bits as well, because Miles Teller is just a funny guy, just generally. The Place Beyond the Pines is one of the very best movies that I saw in 2013. It's directed by Derek Cianfrance, who did Blue Valentine, right. Actually, Shannon Riddler just did a video very recently when she talked about Place Beyond the Pines. I was pleased to hear that she liked it so much. I liked it very much as well, of course. Ryan Gosling and Bradley Cooper are a couple of the main characters, but their stories are very much separated from each other. Ryan Gosling is a guy who's desperate to make some extra cash to support his child, which he just found out that he had a child with Eva Mendes, and he wasn't aware of that until very recently. So he takes up with Ben Mendelsohn robbing banks, which gets to be pretty dangerous. Bradley Cooper plays a cop who's also an aspiring politician. But what I really liked about this movie is the way the story just kept going in new directions, and unexpectedly so. Most movies, if they go on for a real long time, I think, gee, when is this going to be over? But with this movie, I'm like, there's more? There's more happening? That's great, I want more, So that was really exciting. That's a rare experience for me, so really like that a lot. Joe Swanberg is a Chicago independent filmmaker who's done a bunch of movies recently. He had one released very recently, actually, with Anna Kendrick, I think. Yeah, he did Happy Christmas, I think, last year. With Anna Kendrick was in that, along with Melanie Linsky and Lena Dunham. But in 2013, he did a movie called Drinking Buddies, with Jake Johnson from New Girl and Olivia Wilde. And the two of them, they basically work in a Chicago microbrewery and restaurants, and they spend lots of time drinking beer, and they're pretty much best buddies, and Jake Johnson is sort of trying to slowly sort of figure out whether or not Olivia Wilde is available to him, interested in him, even though he's already in a relationship with Anna Kendrick. So things get a little dicey there, especially when the four of them is like two couples. Olivia Wilde is seeing Ron Livingston at the time, and so the two of them, they go away for like a weekend just to hang out, and things get a little dicey there. I really like it. Great ending. You know, nice closing shot to this movie. Some Velvet Morning is a movie directed by Neil LaBute, who actually just had another movie come out kind of recently with Alice Eve and Matthew Broderick, which I haven't seen. Alice Eve is also in Some Velvet Morning alongside Stanley Tucci, and it's really just a two-hander, just two characters, basically. She's at home, and the doorbell rings, and she opens it up, and Stanley Tucci is there with a couple of suitcases. It says, "I just left my wife, isn't that great?" And she's like, yeah. She's not entirely happy about this. I knew nothing about this movie, aside from who was in it before seeing it, and I was really glad that I did, because there are many surprises in store. Again, it's just the two of them, basically this one house, and it's in real time, too, you know, so it's like, the movie is 90 minutes long, and it takes place over the course of 90 minutes. That's the whole story right there. Yeah, really fun movie. I really like movies that, I don't think that it's based on a play, actually, but it very well could be, because of, you know, the nature of the story. You know, I like both these actors quite a lot. Stanley Tucci is so great, and Alice Eve, she's terrific too. So yeah, it's cool. What's next? Oh yeah, The World's End is an Edgar Wright movie. Unfortunately, didn't get to do Ant-Man, but The World's End is a really terrific movie. Again, Simon Pegg stars in it like he does with many of Edgar Wright's movies, and there's a number of other really terrific British actors. Paddy Constantine, I believe is how you say his name. Who's the guy who's normally in these movies alongside Simon Pegg? Nick Frost, right? Martin Freeman, of course, and Eddie Marzan. They're all in this movie, and they're all old buddies from school who Simon Pegg encourages or bullies into coming back to their hometown to do what they call the oh, I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically an epic bar crawl, hitting 12 different pubs within the town, you know, just basically drinking one beer at each bar and moving on. And then, of course, they discover that the entire town has been taken over by alien robots, so they have to fight them off. It's a crazy movie. I want to say Miranda Frost, but that's not her real name. Rosamund Pike, yes, Rosamund Pike, of course, is in this movie as well as Pierce Brosnan, and maybe Bill Nighy as well. I think he does a voice, actually. He's not actually on camera, but he does a voice. Crazy fun movie, a lot like Scott Pilgrim and Shaun of the Dead, right? The only movie of Edgar Wright's that I really haven't liked that much is Hot Fuzz, but I've only seen it the one time, so maybe I should give it another look. But at the time I saw it, I really didn't think it was all that great. Finally, the last movie from 2013 I'd like to recommend is another sequel, which I said I wouldn't do, but since it fell into my top 5 of the year, it automatically goes on the list. And that's, of course, Richard Linklater's latest drama with Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy called Before Midnight, after, of course, Before Sunset and Before Sunrise from 1995. That means that over this 20-year film festival, all 3 of those movies are in it, which is nice. So it's 19 years after they first met, and they've been in a relationship for quite a long while now. They have a couple of girls, the main couple, and dealing with the ways that they are pissing each other off at this point. They're on vacation, but they still manage to argue quite dramatically. Yes, like all these movies, it's very well considered. The characters are really interesting, and there's great conversation to be had. They say at one point in the movie, gee, we don't get that many opportunities to just walk around and talk about whatever. You know, most of our days and our hours are filled with, you know, obligations dealing with our kids and work and things like that. So when they have a chance to really sit down and talk and not really have to worry about anything immediate they have to do, then sort of the knives come out and they start being accusatory and what have you of stifling each other and things like that. Yeah, I really like both of these characters, and I really like this series of movies, so I had to put this on here. 2013, that's 2013. I will be back in the next video with some recommendations from the year 2014, of course. I hope that you will tune in for that. Thank you very much to all of you who leave comments for watching. Appreciate it very much. And yes, almost finished with this series. See you later. Bye.